Paise malungil total beklat malungil total ako tulur hindi wagi tulur total wase titib time ko mamu sel toksor gitu tira adra customs tira kadang studio at tutaw at time ko mamu ra toksor gitu mak ngol ko sa randi ma penak program ko mo tutaw randi.
Okay, malungil total marbek adro kultun in EPFM Eco Paradise solat yang atubet sel shorgi del al tutaw Lobengela Bureau ra Customs and Border Protection. Makadamal ng tangating nga ka adala Border Protection na Blurbelaw. Maktingo ko yung mamsang Director Chantar kong bolsa el kuk maskida kuk kura adaital umso de la el alsils. Madirek ko kura maybe information al Maralmel International Customs Day el Moringira Thursday el Almel Thursday. Malungit tutaw Director.
Yeah, thank you, Ronnie. Today, we're here to commemorate the Customs International Day, and with me, along with me is our chiefs. I guess they could introduce themselves first before we begin.
Malungil tutaw Randy malmenga suliu ma telte alam lo se del me yu ko ai seguir kaltora International Customs Day nga ang klega Divan Andreas nga el obisirgi de la Division of Biosecurity el under no es el more under Bureau of Customs and Border Protection.
Okay.
Malungil tutaw el marbeklador setang un tutan mo mirada del FM ang klega Flavin Miss nga Chief Division of Immigration under the Border Protection.
Ang wilto tao Randy sartial te ali akang klega Clint Musay ako kongra sel division ra Border Management and Enforcement under Bureau of Customs and Border Protection.
Yeah, so thank you, Ronnie. So the International Customs Day is celebrated every January 26, and this day celebrates our officials, officers, customs officers who work day to day to ensure that we're effective in processing goods, imports, and trade. Today, we've taken that and expanded that to include immigration and biosecurity because we do work and collaborate at the borders, and that's one of the approaches we have since the merger in 2021 that merged biosecurity and immigration together. So everything we do, it's not just customs focused, it's immigration, it's biosecurity focused as well. So just to give you a little history about the International Customs Day, it first started in 1983 by the World Customs Organization. Although Palau is not a member of the World Customs Organization, we are members of the Oceania Customs Organization within this Pacific region, and we do benefit from the trainings, workshops, and being members under the OCO. We also, the International Customs Day gives customs the opportunity to look at what we've done in the past, our new how to approach new focus on standards for customs processes. It helps us determine how to best implement procedures and policies and standards for not only customs but also for trade and our partners. This is the theme for 2023 is dedicated to three things: nurturing the next generation, promoting a culture of knowledge and sharing, and promoting pride in customs. So that's why this coming Thursday at Runul Park will be there to showcase some of the things that we do, along with immigration and biosecurity. And we're here not to just talk about customs, but also about immigration and biosecurity, because it's important that we work together, collaborate, and and those things. I think we have a lot of challenges that we've been that we face, and in the world trade arena, customs is immigration, biosecurity. We all work together, but sometimes we're behind the scenes. We're not the focus of attention. Um, so that's been challenging, especially under the working conditions that happened during COVID-19 pandemic. The borders were closed. We had to reevaluate and work with health, which was that was a priority. So those were challenging things that we had to overcome. And with the borders opening now, this gives us an opportunity to explain maybe some of the things that we have planned, and look at our performance as well. Our focus has always been on our people, and those are the things that we've been focused on, and to make sure that they've been competent. We make sure they attend workshops, conferences, trainings to improve their level of skills, and then to ensure that the flow of goods and services improve. Integrity is the backbone of what we do in our line of work. So we need to make sure that they're all trained and skilled, and health and safety cannot be taken for granted. Um, in in today's world, we work in line with our partners, stakeholders, shipping companies, agents, especially those who have vessels and crafts coming in. So those are just a few things that we've been doing. And right now we have about, well, as of last year, we had about 38 customs officers, 32 immigration, 13 biosecurity officers, for a total of about 80 some officers. So, we are large in numbers, but one of the focus that we've been trying to do was to collaborate, work more with the limited resources we have, is to work together. Now you see some of the biosecurity officers doing customs work, especially in the processing section. At the airport, you'll see customs and biosecurity officers working together to not just look at imports and inspect goods, but to also deal with passengers and monitor the flow. So those are just a few things, and I'll go ahead and let the other chiefs talk about their areas and what we've been doing to be effective, and how we're focused on this International Customs Day, and what we do. Sila.
Okay, madaloy sa dibura, talabay mo na immigration.
Maluto to Warni again. Division Regida Immigration, as you all know, adir ka Army office second floor bla police. Meron ko mga kasi immigration sel keda skogi kim clear skogi may kelo ko direktor mase ma rokul dala metmua kim clear as well at Malacca port. For the past year, sel close border COVID-19. Em no so ba masigi lagi ko virtual bangela customs ma security. Agim tegil rolling pas agim trial di o masigi wal existing regulation check masangari ako sa bedal amend to renew. But the entire work immigration na maldo issue. Kama mamaldi deal with foreigners. So sa foreigners and tigil as a tourist, but tigil other government maal sila blur for private sectors. We issue 8 different type of visas. We say that's a tourist itself in general. So I ora daiteng really immigration. And all time I say ako the open a border gid tell mo realize ko sang lamor nga bibira ko ra ngo tourist mer belaw tidem la open sa China Air twice a week, Wednesday and Saturday. United amne planan mo almost every night. But for now hindi ka flights 4 times a week, except la Wednesday, ma Saturday night. Enya igida where's the anya flights ra. So again akti sokali waisa pa abulur belok masa immigration na malir ko to sisyo ay function siya ngi agim anya pending regulation but hindi ka ngaram di maradala so am ko misi pas ngara ko subel ko kura o the ira regulation to ka mo dai tegi ko pa besel tetare la blula akti mo siya das kumbay ngani ako question
Wera da bora next thing. Tagi da kura min ko nga earlier lidira kasi the nga takora International Day of Customs. Selbe time sel nga al saurior nga ngi kel kura olong ale dal wasen ko dem leungir el alier ko dem makita el alier ngwan le wangarang most of the time other kukta ang al sel lobi sa da kaloding mo ngaral lo lang amang ngara kura tetele la kukto mesra immigration ito dula sing leungir performance ng el alier.
El alirang since the kamalig nga beginning of 2023, so actimos pregel for the past, let's say, 3 years. So, as we all know, they close our border. But before close our border again, they never took a flight sa Blue Bell. What they recall sa 2015, when we reached the highest peak sa the regular high number, the weather receiving at 2015, ang block may nga 160 to some thousand tourists during that entire year. From there, sige the more reaches, sige they come settle down until COVID let zero outlet, the close border. Sira last year when we opened, I gave the few flight, as you know, United was the main flight carrier Mervelo, serving Palau. He said I get sa special flight the Lord Takatigal Muragurura wa Taiwan. Isa the sige de I'm not sure ka receive nga email tela la 5,000 during last year. Ding I'm sure ng la level start to pick up and di ka beginning raing it's gonna button mo increase number. I get permits like tasing 8 type of permits generally I get the foreign nga below maging the process every year. And I get tasing 2 years permits, 5 years, every year permits. So like time sige the last year total of 1,123 permits I give them issue with all the I get the 8 types of visas. Beside the sale book labor or one work permit, say the labor, so they have the number for that one. 2021 nga 3,000 visas. So like I said, numbers are varies lang nga 2 years permits, 5 years, 1 year. So different renewal, except for the new ones. Mga ikikita ko label yung mga kamamamaliwar mainly with the foreigners. Kasi ko close sa border nakasakmal floral immigration kim dealing with internal foreigners ang Arvelo on a daily basis. So I guess this 2023 since I'm open, I'm sure we will pick up already immigration in terms of border security po the airport, Mamalacat Port.
Okay. Nakata mo na biosecurity?
So, malungit tayo Randy sulat kalteal I guess yung International Customs Day and more January 26, which is Thursday. I guess kamla wonder was ngarama biosecurity yung alchet yang. Yang ani executive order 450 number 415 emerge tool divisions SL tool divisions under Bureau of Customs and Border Protection and Division of Biosecurity, my Division of Immigration. So much of what we do Randy dirgo sisiu obviously the process of permits girela sisabela tora dallo malama arma adirgo sisiu obviously ng airport ngat mo klaba binira ral sorilo durok klaba dallo durong aluwet tami apply permit melo sisabada dallo maluweng mo doy mal pork meat products. So obviously adirgo sisiu nganya ada ng igal sisiu igal sisabela balul which is the airport, ma post office, ma Malakal port, تيجي material legal bildigel diru gida director wase ngara adwes el lurior el tiaye del mercer ngarang rireli ya gida blen mention wase ngani adra ba security namo ngasige entry process ra customs mata direga lo mesa igel process aba bingira at sel belchi lo chisa ba clear ma igel before en dim lagi muesa igei menguk ba security side and dim lagi model wase ngara maral mek klalo. But with this maturing, I guess in lamas kwam sa te al information sharing and other only like alurior ma rada mo do medangil wasing aware al meklalo ngara what to expect. We're very prepared el gire la sa bele la klalo. Say the mark to trail to ra cross train el ngari al time tral build the capacity ra role officers mosabel era kora idealing at that time mosabel one al adam rule already ra terul officer sa de lo kla adal di imong dabal terung di ngok tora reoreng igal tora border mangarang nga ka umesin lo asing close to trel al terul as ring sabe del el witness rata auriore asum gadas misi auriore nganya to investigation and to orang lain sabe del remula reporter del collaborate smisi auriore di ideally tial executive order el milgat moklawal idea was to streamline kado da que igal uriore mesa igal itatule smisi mediregal mobio trar okya mobiotrar okya los baklok di diregal mobiotrar officers al urior el milisi atora border en because kadon mo sabe del free flow information back and forth ar officers samo mo mdang ready mo mdang la what to expect al bora al already tiene mo segi de rande me asure me agora tial international customs day ang anira 26 moria puder gidel ngarse gidel moria adada ngarse ngani ukora ko magal el carrera adal gidel la tora para security e maldi mi mokkol mercedes de lol hensi mutu siral mutu el bebi rago magai el tora urio sulang.
Okay, nyak malungin til amal mauter sel partra at tial dimelo say promoting culture of knowledge sharing. Til agi del blam dali mal agi del blam dung amal lo tuti say gid el partra dimel gid melado guk mora customs.
Man solo randi man solo te alle. Wala da pora detail lu relel tel area gid. Jadi bako oy sa gel work areas under tagil division gid. Sel da pora border management tangani airport operations, post office operations, commercial port operations. Kadungul mora enforcement mga niya intel investigation section, maritime unit. Sel last area nga under tel division gid detector dock unit. Main area al rurelam ra border amlas maroba ikalos bilila kitilgar make sure government collector sel accurate tax legal protect belaw regil unfair business practices dire kan mukturta ki protect environment regil ko ati sel rural under television lagi del share gitu.
Okay, mak adira kala kura ogira osisul mura osisul mura immigration like kada dira kala kura ablo reng sa ay isela so isabel karma ang arang klil so makarakuk to measure a performance sa customs ang kada mesra ngarang para to tingik mong namlew ngila kuk performance sa customs para kala kura milestones mo accomplishment ta kamul last year year before that talko kura as edit mong ngolong alala ngilurior customs.
I see. Hindi ako maram saura. Okay. Agi always saura lam ra one number aircraft tas tilal skogil with clear. Mandali tilal wadial mo sois tela better clear. Telal passenger subnet inspect. Yagi da ko yung buspe quadrostal. Admin bukti bebir ragel yung buspe may sure performance room. Sigidok area nga.
Okay.
And if I can say, in comparison to before, now when we receive entry permits applications, it's not just immigration that will review and approve. We also include customs. They'll look at and determine whether they're bringing any goods coming in, and we all look at the people. We profile, we monitor who's coming in. We work with the other agencies as well. We'll do a background check if time permits, and work with public safety, especially. So what we get beforehand, like the manifest, is important, and those are the things we need to know before people, goods, and crafts, whether it's by sea or by air coming in. The collaboration we have, not between ourselves among ourselves, but also with the border agencies like the Bureau of Aviation, Palau National Aviation. We need to work together, especially before we issue the entry permits for the crafts. Health, during COVID, you notice that the Ministry of Health determined whether people met the requirements before coming in. So the directives they issued, we had to follow those. So working with those other agencies before issuing the entry permits was important. So those are some of the changes we had. Before immigration issues an entry permit for crafts and people coming in, we get clearance from Bureau of Aviation, from PNAA, and also of course, before anybody can board, they need approval from PNAA. So it's important that we work with our partners, and it's important that we also explain to the agents and shipping companies and people what our requirements are. So that's been a struggle since the merger. We've been reviewing our regulations, seeing if there's making sure it's simple and follow, and that everybody can understand what our requirements. I noticed that we had different requirements, and that's something we had to work in the beginning to set a standard. Streamlining the process, that was important for us to implement. Managing risk at the borders, while immigration was people focused, customs was people focused also. So we need to talk when they go to the airport. We encourage our officers to do the briefings beforehand and debriefings. So if there was any issues, we discussed that. We worked with other agencies like the police, Bureau of Public Safety, NEU, the Narcotics Enforcement Unit, working the dogs, having dogs that are properly trained, being able to sniff out drugs. Those were important. One of the focus now at this time is, especially when we talk about drugs, we always talk about methamphetamine in Palau. Now, what we're concerned about, especially after talking with health and the Bureau of Public Safety, is fentanyl. If you read the news in the States, people are being affected, people are dying. And it's a powdery substance that's mixed with other controlled substances. And if the officer opens it up and think it's, and we see a powdery substance, just it being airborne can kill us. And so those are the things we're talking with the Ministry of Health now. It's important for us to continue to wear masks and the gloves, but what about our safety? So those are things that we need to decide for every passenger coming in, and we open and inspect. What are the trends that we need to adapt to now, especially when you think about the dangers of finding substances that could be harmful to our people? So
How capable are we? Wala capabilities el altamel la wato ko testing for fentanyl or testing for different kinds of drugs. So wala ko masaygal show el tamal mo ko test nga ngi gigitan ko test tubing ang mobluwa ka loring yang ngaringir gid.
So doing what we discussed, and that's one reason why I'm happy to say that we have under the executive order, the Coordinated Border Management Working Group, that was created last year. It allows us to engage and discuss about these issues with all the border agencies, law enforcement, and other relevant agencies. So Ministry of Health, I believe they do have the kit or the spray that we can use to help if we're exposed. But we need to probably educate and put our people through training. So we discussed that last week. Um, um, we if we find fentanyl, for example, we should not even open it. If it goes there, but we're not, you know, I mean that can cause serious problems to our health. I mean, you hear about the officers doing a patrol stop, and then they find it, and they as soon as they open it, they're out. They're and I think so. A number of people, especially in the schools, the kids, they're experimenting with these types of drugs. So this is a big issue now for Palau, and it's not just methamphetamine or marijuana. It's other hardcore drugs such as fentanyl that could be disguised. Nobody really knows what percentage is being mixed with the control with opiates or other drugs. So that's the thing. What we're doing now is I'm thankful that we have a grant from Japan that will allow us to have extra equipment here in Palau, maybe towards the end of the year. We're looking at, we've ordered a few scanning devices, which is a laser device that will penetrate and determine whether it's fentanyl or meth or something. So those are the types of technology that we need. And, we've got about a $1 million grant that will provide customs, immigration, biosecurity with these equipment at the borders, post office with the mail, and we'll be working with NEU to detect these drugs. Our dogs being exposed as well to searching fentanyl. I mean, those are serious questions that we're dealing with at this time. But those are some of the measures that we're trying to do.
Okay, so we're getting ready for International Customs Day, which is happening on this Thursday. Morning Erongul Park. The theme is nurturing the next generation, promoting a culture of knowledge sharing and professional pride in customs. How does that set the tone for 2023 and onward for customs and immigration?
Well, first, last year we developed a strategic plan. So we have a strategic plan in place. Our key focus is one. We have three main areas. One is protection of the border. Second thing is revenue collection, to ensure that we collect the correct revenue due, and trade facilitation. In order to do that, one of the things that I'm happy to say is one, we need teeth, we need the language, we need the laws, processes, procedures in place. They need to be up to date. And it's a good thing that OEK, the president, submitted the Customs and Border Protection Act to Congress on December 7th. So now it's in their hands. And we have up-to-date legislation dealing with customs authority, what we can and cannot do. It talks about customs brokers, how they need to be licensed. And really, we have to work with our partners here. And when I say partners, it's United Airlines, other airlines, shipping companies, and of course, importers. The Customs Bonded Warehouse, the Customs Bonded Act that's been put in place, where the minister should be back. We're going to be introducing that in about a week or so, maybe 2 weeks, after review. And so we have these, what we've been practicing now needs to be in stone. The legislation that we have, if OEK approves that, it'll take us to the next level. Providing guidelines, making sure the regulations are clear and transparent. Everything we did on the strategic plan now leads into our performance. So we did our performance report last year. We looked at how much we were collecting in revenue, and because of COVID, a lot of that got affected. The PGST,
Yeah.
being implemented this year.
Yep.
those were some of the challenges. We had to take our officers, take them through the laws, work with the tax office, and discuss that with other agencies. We have a lot of projects in Palau. We have a lot of assistance, and January 1st was just another challenge that we had in collecting tax. So all these means that our officers must be competent. So we need to make sure that they're properly trained, and we get a lot of assistance from Oceania Customs to especially with the colleges that we've been that's been training our people. So whether it's on risk management, audit, valuation, or other customs areas, those are the focus we've been doing. We've been trying to elevate our people to be in these trainings so that they can work towards not only a certificate but also towards a degree. So we have a few officers who have been focused on those trainings, and others who will benefit from that in the year to come. Our focus has been on developing our officers into leaders, because most of us are probably looking at retirement. We had a retirement party for two immigration officers last year, where we recognized them and thanked them for their years of service. We
Right.
had one over the weekend for Ruben Nrakasao, who after 32 years and he's an expert in what he does
Wow.
in valuation. And so now we got to fill in those shoes. And the only way is to make sure that we look at those officers, focus on those officers, whether you're at immigration or biosecurity, to make sure that they're competent to take over and lead and serve as good role models for the other officers. So a lot of what we have planned now not only involves focusing on our people, but on technology, automation.
I see.
Asakura, we're focused now on customs and trade. We get the support right now to from grants. We have a UNDP grant right now that's focused on integrating our border processes and looking at technology. So we're looking at 2023 with the focus of looking at an integrated auto system. The president, our minister, has talked about the support we need to implement a single windows. When you process your entries
I see.
and goods, you want to do it just one time. So it's something that we've been talking
At one place, or at
one
least
place,
at one
one
agency.
time. Yeah, and
Yeah.
then everything just you get so that's what the public expects of us. I know in customs we've been talking about that initiative since 2016. So when you clear your container now, under this Asakura project that we have, which will go live next year, July, it involves one process where the shippers will actually declare their all the containers, goods coming in. It comes down to customs. We feed it off. If you need a permit, if you need a health, sanitation, EQBB clearance, we need to make sure that it's done one time and it's done electronically. We want to go live on the on the internet. We don't want to deal with paperwork and manual entries. Times have changed, and I know Palau has been very keen on moving forward with this initiative. So this is just some of the things that we're doing to be proactive in order to implement our practical ways of doing business.
All right, let's talk a little bit about that PGST that you mentioned earlier. So, what are the steps that you've taken, and what are steps that still need to be taken in order? I think one of the things that Elway mentioned during the press conference was you still need to talk to some bigger companies that are outside of Palau, like Amazon, the internet companies that we're still kind of dealing with. I don't know, what's the steps that you need to take in order to get that sorted out?
Well, right now, based on our discussions and dealings with the tax office and the public, looking at the existing law at hand, if you're ordering from Amazon, for example, right now it's by consignment. So if you order from Amazon right now, if you have 6 packages from the post office, if you ordered it from different companies, because Amazon is just a platform where people can either store, sell,
Yeah.
and ship their goods to people, and they get a fee. So the third party, if it's my business, you can go there and sell your goods there. But right now, the law, the way we interpret the law, it's by consignment. So if you order from Amazon and when you get your invoice, everything is based on the invoice. So the officers will actually look at the invoice. If it's from a different shipper, from a different place, different state, then it's by consignment. So we're not looking at, you may have several packages, but we're not treating it as a whole. If it's under $400, then you're exempt. Now Amazon, so I think Amazon, I know in some countries they do tax Amazon on the PGST, but I think that's something we need to look at
Yeah.
eventually. But for now, it's per consignment, and it's not just from Amazon. When we look at if it comes from a different state, a different place, country, and you may have several packages, those are the things we look at. The only thing we're concerned about is if you start structuring it, if you order from Amazon and then or from anybody, and then all of a sudden you start splitting the consignments, but the original invoice was purchased together, and then you split them so it's to get away from paying the tax. Then those are the things we're looking at.
Mm.
Those are the things you cannot do.
Okay, I see.
But right now, I don't believe we have too many issues. That was handled on the first day. We had workshops with our officers to make sure that they understood the law and the process, and especially on that first day, we did go around to monitor and see what problems we had. We had problems with the entries. WebPlus, our provider, worked on the forms. I know there were issues with the calculations, and we calculate everything based on the CIF now instead of the FOB. So everything involved in the shipping is included. Your shipping costs, your handling, and all that, wharfage fee, all of those are included now. Before we used to deduct from that. So whatever the tax may be, the CIF is included, and then you add the 10%. So
I see.
right.
All right. So for the date, Ermul Central Park, which is going to be the International Customs Day, what do we need to expect at Ermul Central Park? What are you guys going to be doing? Are there going to be activities, games, prizes?
Right. Yes. So we'll be there early in the morning. What time will we be there? 8 o'clock. I know. Well, I'll let the chiefs explain because they're very much involved with the committee on providing discussing what activities are being planned.
So Randy ang 26 Tuesday kaya Chief Marcel sing 8 o'clock the setup per se. We got na so sing to live things kwarulin mo ngiling ora awareness campaign to educational el direka. Allora so gira la ora trivia questions el other maybe sit tabu ding when ya display ya klalo. Ayel ukpa screening ayel confiscate mania brochures ra tora invasive at el samen mo give out el the awareness el morara adal wasa gagida what to look out for belau ayel already ngaringil invasive pest belau agora mula ko questions el morangal kal may mar maklo sabil direkal gora ogi usay tletale tamo understand sa ngara gora mokteka aw ngara ula urior ngaringi maybe ay wadir go uriol gere la prices lol mito lo asing mosabe del mas sel gora airtime ngarang klel mong alani or reng sel ngarang al sabil go donate sa sel airtime el metal sil sergi de la customs international customs there say el 26 mal madagim go tawara udorsi ngeso ngarang klel merseil chilse sulang.
All right.
Kuk dungora obviously kita immigration again ang hindi mo showcase ay wa day-to-day operations in terms of processing, cook requirements, it's different visas we issue. Ay kita may kadi radio maklak ayan magigari kumbali, makro kumbali, ay kita kuk procedures, regulation how to recruit the foreigners. Ay kita kuk at the same time, nga kita kuk penalties let's say ngani adam book overstay ay kaya kuk ngani immigration na timor seals along with the biosecurity mga customs they emphasize ay kuk daily activities lagi morura on a daily basis overseas immigration.
Okay.
So if somebody has an issue with their application, or if they're not sure about what the regulations or requirements are, when to submit their applications, please come and see Chief Miss. He will explain to you what actually needs to be done and how he can help you.
All right.
Uduk mura customs sama segi del sil sa customs samborsay el direkal mo showcase sa kora auron nam patmok abon nga te al kata amo mesagel concealment methods to kora tracks direct mon nga K9 demonstration so dia adrablo ng tirang algin made to kora absurd kama mamborsel direkal redil lo ask answer a question sa kumon nga question sa adrablo.
Alright.
Agi dire kanila invite tara astiling kami tira PCST. Malakuan niya question na adrabul gira la PCST sa ilmom ta. Dire kal invite tara officer sa NEU. Morse lagit makalo yor bukod sa ilsira kuktetelaw relim mara atra. Kamsula.
One of the things that we're also discussing is maybe at 7:30 in the morning is to have all our customs, immigration, and biosecurity officers in uniform to do an inspection. Since we're talking about pride in customs, we're also talking about we want to make sure that when we work, we're professionals. So it's been a while since we had a bureau inspection of our officers, and so I think you'll see us there early in the morning before we get back to work at 8 o'clock. That's one of the things that we were discussing this morning as a part. Otherwise, we'll have brochures.
So that
explaining
means that
what
there
our-
will be high officials there as well to
Well, that's the plan.
assist the inspection.
Yeah, I know our minister's been away, and so those are things that we're trying to organize before then. So everybody should be healthy, fit, and ready to go. I think by Thursday, I think it'll be good and appealing for the public to see us and see who we are.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Dia kamal musulang direktor Omar Adam. Umsulal kuk me kuk mga sir kita ada belal mo kuk understand ay kel kuk reliu. Yung selbe bila time kuk ta ka west le ka mo kuk masalay kel kuk tangaringi mangarang da ka to ngi kuk selay kay kita lurior may kel kuk nangalela lurior langaringi ar lurior. So kung mal musulal kuk me share kay kita of course arbek other kuya invited el mortal seal sa customs el moringira Erungul Central Park. Mga tukadi mong susya bekladro ko luas please bera Erungul Park 8 o'clock at total mo sa ngaringin holdel mo telaklok.
Start ra 9 el momre ra 3.
9 mo mera katri. Okay. All right, so manda ka ngaral mo ron malumkom kam detalles please me de tolera obisra Bureau of Customs and Border Control, I say. Sige SEALs. Border Protection, I say. Sige SEALs, International Customs Day. Alright, tamdim na ikagit kunya ko malmasulang arokuy, sentelal deng mal dam kadong anyal sumang kurangan niya karita rin mo ra kay kalobis sa kami.
So obisra biosecurity ra nganya dengwara 587-2504.
Yeah,
Immigration
immigration.
488-2678
Okay.
2498.
Right, yeah.
Customs sa 488-1985 488-6031.
Yeah, sorry with sa direktor
775-5646.
Alright.
Live.
Okay, kumal masulang kung and back to you, Spy.
Thank you.
Okay, malungul. Tutal mergidro ko Dal dolareng seringi toksyo ron tira adra customs yang amlaring irako trurior. Lumi adra kapsengi la